Hello, I'm Muriel.
And hello, I'm Nawal.
We are both happy to contribute, although from a distance, to the 7th International Conference on the Development and Assessment of Intercultural Competence. Our talk focuses on internationalizing the curriculum, language to learning in higher education. A few words about le CNAM to begin with. It is actually the higher education institution dedicated to lifelong learning in France, where the majority of learners are professional adults. Le CNAM offers them a variety of training programs at all levels of qualifications, undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral levels, in the economic, technical, and social fields. Le CNAM is a network with its 25 regional centers and with an international dimension as well with the overseas centers. As all the higher education institutions in France, Le CNAM has been tackling the issue of internationalizing its curricula via the integration of foreign language courses in order to respond to worldwide employability and competitiveness demands. In this context of internationalization, at the Foreign Language Department, we sought to test the feasibility of a telecollaborative project as part of the new policy measures to be implemented in the English curriculum, which will offer blended EFL courses on a large scale to respond to massification concerns. We see telecollaboration as the added value that will meet individual specific needs. In the particular telecollaboration study we are presenting here, and for which CNAM learners have been paired with students from Cardiff University, we will address two research questions. Question 1. Which factors do learners consider to structure their telecollaboration experience? Question 2. What are the learners' perceptions of the potential benefits of the teletandem exchanges in relation to their predefined objectives and their learning achievements? Telecollaboration exchanges are virtual exchanges based on tandem learning principles of autonomy and reciprocity to help learners develop their linguistic and social-cultural competence. We particularly agree with Belz, who defines telecollaboration as indicated on this slide. A review of the literature also points out to the emergence of telecollaborative projects as components of blended learning courses, which represent a specific type of blended learning. In such cases, researchers are currently exploring the type of mode, online, face-to-face, that is leading, as well as how interwoven the modes are. Telecollaborative sessions in blended courses are usually classroom integrated and hence planned, controlled by the teacher-researcher, and where learning progression is predefined. Self-directed learning is therefore limited. Research in the field of adult education, particularly Spear and Mocker, has introduced the concept of organizing circumstances, which postulates that learners structure their learning project according to their environment. Thus, learning occurs in a non-linear fashion guided by the environmental circumstances. We find this concept specifically relevant to explore the factors structuring telecollaboration experience and learning outcomes for the adult professionals engaged in our pilot project that Nawal is now going to present.
So, our pilot project took place between mid-February and mid-June 2019 and involved the collaboration between CNAM Paris and Cardiff University. 10 learners in each institution volunteered for the telecollaboration sessions. As you can see in the table, reporting on the studies venue and participants, apart from the target languages being the common characteristic, The groups were heterogeneous in terms of the domain of specialization, age, and level in the target language. It is noteworthy here to mention that, with regards to pairing, initially we wanted to pair the participants according to two criteria: linguistic level in the target language and domain specialization. In fact, we wanted to put together learners having the same level in their respective target languages and having the same domain. Our intention was to give a professionalizing dimension to the pilot study, since it lacks in the literature, and hence trigger potential professional gains among the participants, with the idea that CNAM learners as professionals will be the experts sharing knowledge with Cardiff students. However, in practice, we couldn't do this systematically because the participant sample was small and the learners who volunteered were not necessarily from the same domains. When it comes to the implementation of the project, it is true that the most widespread approach to collaborative exchange in the literature tends to be classroom integrated. However, in our case, the sessions were actually not integrated into the syllabus of language courses, and this in both institutional settings. Embedding the sessions into the foreign language lessons was impossible for three practical reasons. First of all, our project was a pilot study where participation was not mandatory. Second, because CNAM learner population is composed of professionals who work during the day, the majority of the courses, including language lessons, take place in the evenings and on Saturdays, unlike for Cardiff students. Third, due to a delay in the initial schedule of the project, the experience took place in the second semester of the academic year 2018-2019. Our CNAM volunteers, however, were for the majority learners who had English class during the first semester. I'll move now to describe the implemented protocol. A specific protocol was designed for the present experience based, as we said earlier, on the principles of tandem learning, namely autonomy and reciprocity, and taken into account the characteristics of the context that we just presented. The protocol was based on three distinct moments: an introductory tutorial session, the tele-collaboration sessions per se, and a final feedback period. Let me start with the tutorial session. This session was actually necessary to inform the participants about the research objectives and the project procedure so as to foster their learning experience. As can be seen in the slide, several points were covered. In particular, participants were brought to think about their goals via completion of a questionnaire investigating their perceived level in English and learning objectives that we actually collected immediately. We also raised their awareness on learning how to learn by presenting the documents that they had to complete after the sessions, namely the logbooks and the final feedback reports. For the second phase, that is, during the tele-collaboration sessions, participants were asked to complete a logbook for each session, record 2 oral exchanges, ideally one at the beginning and one at the end of the experience, record and send any written exchange, use the forum Yammer to seek answers to possible questions or share experience, and potentially request counseling sessions with the tutorials if needed. As for the final phase, all participants had to return their feedback reports and participate in a final semi-direct interviews with us. Now, with regards to the analysis, we adopted a qualitative approach given the nature of the data collected. For today's presentation, we are going to report on the 2 most successful experiences reported by 2 female participants whose profile is provided in the table that you can see right now. It is believed that these 2 best experiences will help us comprehend the key features which sustain a positive teletandem experience. In particular, we will look at data from the questionnaires on perceived level and learning objectives, the semi-direct interviews, the logbooks, and the final feedback reports. To answer our research questions, we first analyzed the interviews looking at occurrences related to factors structuring the telecollaboration, as well as perceptions of potential learning benefits. The categories that emerged out of this initial analysis were later cross-checked with information reported in the logbooks and feedback reports. We will now report on the final categorization obtained, presenting the most illustrative excerpts. Muriel will start with findings relative to our first research question.
All right. So we will first deal with the factors which structure the telecollaboration experience. We identified two main categories: personal trajectory and collaboration. Personal trajectory relates to individual experiences that could shape the telecollaboration, affecting learners' initial goals and how they go about achieving them. It is subdivided into two subcategories: educational background and professional experience and objectives. Regarding the first subcategory, educational background, as can be seen in this slide, we found occurrences of institutional experience as well as other learning experiences and learning methodology. For example, learner 1 was a high school dropout who was extremely motivated to learn and to progress professionally. To compensate for a lack of institutionalized methodology, she took a mind mapping course that helped her become extremely structured. Learner 2 completed a degree in communication studies, but had to adjust to the reality of the job market and is now retraining in computer science. Like Learner 1, she seizes all opportunities to learn English, but also took an English evening class before enrolling in le CNAM. The second subcategory relates to professional experience and objectives, which vary for each learner, as indicated on this slide. The second category we identified is collaboration. It relates to the guidance provided by the tutors, as well as the organization between partners and their individual organization. With regards to tutor guidance, both participants claim that this guidance, provided for example through the introductory tutor sessions and logbooks, was very helpful to structure their telecollaboration. However, both insisted that this guidance was just right, that is to say, neither demanding nor limiting. The second collaboration subcategory is tandem organization. Our learners organize their telecollaboration sessions differently. For example, with her partner, Learner 1 thoroughly planned each session as they use different resources, send documents in advance, organize their correction mode, and very rarely change the time slots dedicated to the exchanges. On the other hand, for Learner 2 and her partner, apart from setting the correction mode too, they did not really plan their sessions. Nevertheless, what characterizes both cases is their flexibility in terms of content and format. As for the third collaboration subcategory, individual organization, we found examples illustrating it in Learner 1's data. She referred to the way she prepared mentally and how she retained what she learned during the sessions. But what was interesting was that even if, as we stated earlier, the telecollaboration project was not classroom integrated, Learner 1 made links by herself between what she learned from her Cardiff partner and what she was learning during the English course.
We move now to answer the second research question. What are the learners' perceptions of the potential benefits of the teletandem exchanges in relation to their predefined objectives and their learning achievements? The data yielded many occurrences where our two learners referred to the learning gains they believed they achieved through their participation in the telecollaboration project. Analysis of these occurrences identified three main categories of gains: gains of a linguistic professional nature, cultural professional nature, and ones related to global experience. First of all, and as you can note on this slide, reporting on our learners' perceptions of the most important benefits, both learners indicated an improvement in English. In fact, at the end of the experience in the final feedback report, they rated their level in the different language skills between C1 and C2 of the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages, compared to a rating between B1 and C1 at the beginning of the project reported in the initial questionnaire. This perceived improvement related mainly to a development in the listening and speaking skills. Another interesting but actually expected finding, given our learners' profile being professional adults and their work-related predefined objectives, is that both learners believe the telecollaboration exchanges were or could be beneficial for their communication at work. Finally, both learners enjoyed the experience, reporting on the development of a friendly relationship with their respective Cardiff partners. Learner 1, for example, reported in one of her logbooks that exchanging with her partner was, and I quote, like talking to a friend. And she actually physically met with her partner in Paris. Also, both our CNAM participants expressed their will to continue the exchanges even if the pilot project came to an end.
Let's now switch to the discussion. So, first of all, this study presents a number of limitations. First, we focused on the French perspective only. Although the data analyzed to answer our research questions are based on the interactions with the exchange partners and therefore automatically include the British perspective, comparing information from both partners for each tandem could have yielded further understanding of the key factors structuring the learning experience. It would also have informed us on the perceived potential benefits of the tandem exchanges for the Cardiff students, in line with the reciprocity principle which sustains tandem learning. Secondly, we chose to study the two most successful reported experiences in order to seize the key features which sustain a positive teletandem experience. To gain an even greater understanding of it, it would be useful to examine the data of all the students to identify similarities and discrepancies between the most successful and the less successful experiences. Such information would certainly enlighten the embedding of telecollaboration in the future EFL courses we are planning to program at Le CNAM. Research question 2 explores the perceived potential benefits of the teletandem exchanges. It will then be necessary to compare the perceived benefits with the real ones so as to explore learning achievements. To do so, we will transcribe the recorded oral sessions. We will particularly compare the sessions recorded at the beginning with those recorded at the end of the telecollaboration experience. We will also analyze the written exchanges.
I would like to add that, despite these limitations, the originality of this study is that it explores the potential of telecollaboration for a special type of learners, namely adults who are professionals engaged in lifelong learning. Given their profile and their intentional return to education, we believe that the concept of organizing circumstances introduced by Spear and Mocker is particularly relevant to investigate these adults' self-directed learning and the environmental factors impacting their telecollaboration experience. In line with the author's uniqueness of learner circumstances, our data enable us to conclude that personal trajectories will vary from a learner to the other, shaping the telecollaboration experience differently. In addition, Flexibility seems to be a characteristic of a successful experience, thus further confirming Spur and Mocker's idea that self-directed learning characterized by the taking into account of internal and external environmental circumstances prevails over pre-planned formal teaching environments. Moreover, our data revealed that in the absence of a formal integration of telecollaboration in our EFL syllabus, there is a possibility for learners to still establish links between the exchanges and the course. All of this suggests that when designing a blended course which includes telecollaborative sessions, it is worth considering that adult learners can choose their lead mode as they progress in language learning. To conclude, we would like to say that the scope of this pilot project was to investigate the embedding of telecollaboration in the future EFL courses in the CNAM. In that respect, our study has held its promises since it has helped us gain a better understanding of the factors which sustain a positive telecollaboration experience. Our findings suggested that telecollaboration could in fact be designed as a component of blended EFL courses. Deployed on a large scale, telecollaborative sessions would be the added value that will meet individual specific needs for CNAM professional adult learners. Such added benefits could not only be related to learning, but also of a personal nature. And here we would like to point to the fact that 5 months after the official end of the project, our participants still exchange with their Cardiff partners, which is extremely motivating for us and goes beyond the initial learning objectives of the pilot. As for future research perspectives, a second pilot project is planned in 2020 to explore the potential benefits of telecollaboration from a professional angle. We will pair learners from the same professional domain. CNAM learners would then act as the experts, while Cardiff students would be the professionals to be. Finally, we would like to thank the volunteers participating in this pilot, as well as our partner, the School of Modern Languages of Cardiff University.
And of course, we would like to thank you in Tucson.
Thank you.